The 2022 South Africa Disability Career Expo started yesterday in Nasrec in Johannesburg. The event unpacks the wide variety of career opportunities for over 1,200 students from 26 schools for those with disabilities who will be attending. Lauren Besten, a campus talent acquisition graduate at CT South Africa, is the headline sponsor of this event and joins us now via Zoom. A very good morning to you, Lauren. Thank you so much for making the time.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you guys and for showcasing this event. I think it's so important that the wider public is aware of this. And thank you so much.
Lauren, you fall within the 5 categories of disability in South Africa with a neurological impairment, epilepsy. But you are also reading towards your master's degree in philosophy. How did you do it?
Sorry, the sound quality is bad. I couldn't hear.
I was just saying that you fall within the 5 categories of disability in South Africa with a neurological impairment, epilepsy. But you're also reading towards your master's degree in philosophy. And I just wanted to know, how did you do it? Because I imagine a lot of the disabled community in South Africa have big challenges and are not able to reach what you have.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Good question. So speaking from a personal perspective, yes, I have epilepsy. And as a graduate, I just started on the graduate program. I was in the job market last year. And one of my big fears, or something that caused me great anxiety, was the stress that a company or a corporate space would not necessarily want to hire me because I would need reasonable accommodation. And that is a big barrier, I think, to students with disabilities and people with disabilities in general to apply for jobs, to think that they will not be able to work in a space where they will not be given a reasonable accommodation. However, I was very lucky to find a job that does. And something like this Careers Expo, now the Disability Careers Expo, it is showcasing to students and students with disabilities that corporates are accepting of them. Corporates will accommodate them when they can. And it's also an opportunity for us to learn from the students themselves. What do they need? What assistive technologies they need? And, together for the community and with corporate, we can forge or define a more inclusive space for people with disabilities in the workplace. So, if I had the opportunity or knew of something like the Disabilities Career Expo, last year, it would have made the world of difference to quell my fears and to quell my anxieties and know that people care and know that people are out to improve the situations or workplace situations that people with disabilities find themselves in.
And just in terms of the Expo and the opportunities that are out on show, give us a sense of what is being spoken about.
Oh, the Expo is absolutely incredible. I'm currently here doing it, and the energy and the vibe of the children, and as well as all the corporates and NGOs and universities that are here is fantastic. I think what it shows is that people with disabilities have a fantastic quality of life, which I think is often not the case in the social sort of imaginary or the way that people think of this. So it's amazing to see the kids. I mean, there was a choir singing, dancing. It's just absolutely fantastic to be a part of this. And again, as a person with disabilities myself, that I'm valued, that our difference is celebrated and not negated or seen as lesser.
Awesome. Are you able to give us a comparison with other countries globally when it comes to workplace inclusion for persons with disabilities?
That's a fantastic question. So, South Africa has a very progressive constitution, and the rights of disability or disabled rights is enshrined within our constitution. I know that a lot of companies are making a lot of headway through bringing assistive technologies into the workplace, in training their employers how to deal with people with disabilities in the way that they can flourish and thrive in the best way that they possibly can. I think the one downfall of South Africa, unfortunately, is the shortage of capital, which comes from a deep historical socioeconomic problems. So yes, I think there's definitely more space for us to grow as South Africans, but also within the corporate spaces to get funding for these assistive technologies where, maybe Europe or America have the ability to do that. But I think that there is amazing work being done on a grassroots level, but now also starting from a corporate perspective and universities of how to improve how they accommodate people with disabilities. So yes, there's a lot of work to do, but we are on the right track, I believe.
Yeah. Lauren, South Africa is a country beset with inequality. It's such a big conversation. And in this space, it applies as well, because a person with disabilities watching from home who has not been able to access an education is excluded from this conversation, because we're speaking about those with disabilities who have engaged with education. Does this worry you?
Absolutely. Again, you cannot separate a person's lived experience from the situation that they're in. So yes, South Africa is, rife with inequality. And I mean, one of the big challenges is how to give children, and then also children with disabilities, the opportunity to access education in order for them to be able to get onto learnerships after school, in order to go to universities. And I think as children with disabilities, they are even at a greater disadvantage, because once again, there's a stigmatization of them as perhaps not being productive workers, or they will not necessarily be able to do the quality of work that able-bodied people can do. But this is obviously this is not true. And I think a first step is obviously breaking down that stigmatization, but also, to call on NGOs, corporates, the government to invest more in children with disabilities and give them the opportunity to flourish one day in the job market. I mean, there are fantastic programs already. I can think of Momentum and Aon, where they actually have learnerships in place for students with disabilities post-matric. So in that way, it's not a barrier in terms of you need a university and education. And I think in that way, they are positively contributing to, upskilling people with disabilities, which hopefully will down trickle into the next generations as,
Yeah. Well, quite an interesting concept, and we hope really it bears fruit, because it's something that's really necessary, not only for people with disabilities, but South Africans in general are looking for jobs. And just in closing off, just in terms of reaching out to those people with disabilities who do not have access to such platforms, where else can they go, just in terms of looking for opportunities?
No, fantastic question. I think, the one benefit of the age that we currently live in is that we have access to technology. Again, not everyone has equal access to technology, but it is our responsibility as citizens of South Africa, like you guys are doing on SABC, to broadcast this to a very wide audience, and to put out there that there's information on the internet where, the company that is doing this is Creative Space Media and Disability Connect specifically. So you can be redirected to those sites where people can get access to articles, people get access to footage to see and learn more about how they can be involved within the community itself, how to become more active in a grassroots organizations. And from that way, I think the most important thing is to actually get onto the ground, right? And go to the places, give them the technology where they can have access to this information.
Yeah. And let's just get back to the Expo, the Career Expo itself. People wanting to interact with it, what are the handles, what are the details?
So you can go to the Disability Connect website. You can go to the Creative Space Media media platforms, so LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. It's being showcased on that. They are in the process of putting a package together where they've been taking videos and footage for the whole over the whole 2 days, and that will be put on their website. So that's disabilityconnect.co.za or Creative Space Media. So those are where you could probably go, and then it has also been broadcasted on radio. So just keep an eye out on what's coming next, and I think we'll let you guys know if there's any more live broadcasts that you can share.
Yeah, and just the last question: is it open to the public?
Sorry?
Is it open to the public?
The Careers Expo itself is not open to the public. It is. It's more about the children and the schools that are involved. But again, I think at least with the opportunity to speak to you and the public can actually get to know it, and with the footage that has been taken, they can get exposure to what has been happening. And I mean, hopefully in the future we can have an even bigger event with more people, which would be fantastic.
Lauren, we wish you all your best in your Masters in Philosophy. Thank you so much for speaking to us this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a lovely day.
Really wonderful interview. Lauren Besten, a campus talent acquisition graduate at CT South Africa and a headline sponsor of the 2022 South Africa Disability Career Expo that's currently underway in Nasrec. A quick break. We'll be back in a moment.